Now that's more like it. A nice long second chapter for the Book of Boba Fett was great to wake up to this morning. Last week I said I wanted a strong hook for the series, and I still don't know that we have that, but this episode raised the stakes of the present day half of the story significantly, and I also understand what the show is more. I think I needed Stranger in a Strange Land to adjust, and then the Tribes of Tatooine really brought it home. The length and the scope of the second chapter seemed more like a season premiere type story than the first. Actually, it had several parallels to The Mandalorian's Season 2 premiere. It might have been cool to see the first two chapters drop on the same day now that I think about it, but whatever, let's talk about the episode. I like that I can more easily break this into the past and the present because the story is split right down the middle for us. Fennec Shand brings the assassin she captured back to Boba's palace, and I'm still getting used to calling it that, but he's a member of the Order of the Night Wind, a paid assassin. They get him to confess he was hired by the mayor of Mos Espa, Mok Shaiz, by threatening to feed him to a non-existent rancor. That was a fun moment, but part of me was hoping something was down there. It has been 5 years after all, and it's been hinted that Jabba had more than one type of creature down in his dungeons. Boba and Fennec pay the mayor a visit, and right now I really like everything surrounding that character. His animatronic or prosthetics or however they're pulling the Ithorian off looks great. I also really like his major domo and even the annoyed front desk receptionist. The mayor insists he did not hire the assassins and treats Fett like the bounty hunter he used to be. Like his major domo last week, I'm sensing a lot of passive aggression. Like, aw, look at you trying to be something we all know you're not. Like he's willing to tolerate Boba's delusions of grandeur for now. He offers some advice and simply says that running a crime family is more complicated than being a bounty hunter. I have to think that line was deliberate. The trailers for this series kept repeating that Boba wants to rule with respect over and over. The repeated line for the first season of The Mandalorian was Werner Herzog saying that bounty hunting is a complicated profession. So the mayor is politely telling Boba that he is in way over his head, and then says he'll learn who really hired the assassins at the sanctuary. So he and Fennec go there, where Garsa Fwip tells them that the twins have laid claim to Jabba's territory. Seeing the Hutts was awesome, but before I get to that, I think the mayor and Garsa are both working for the Hutts. They don't seem to mind being under someone else's control, but they're making a big deal about the way things are supposed to be done. Both institutions have asked where Boba Fett's litter is. I don't know why they care so much about how he gets around town, but I think the idea of the litter is a symbol of comfort. I mean, it literally is comfort for anyone sitting in a litter at the expense of those who have to carry it. So we're seeing these people in power, the mayor and Garsa, and they are rich and comfortable. I think they see Boba Fett coming in and he wants to shake things up. He wants to rule with respect. He seemingly doesn't want to run his empire at the expense of those beneath him. The mayor and Garsa are probably afraid that means their days of comfort are numbered, so I can easily see them working with the Hutts. I've been suspicious of Garsa ever since she filled Boba Fett's helmet with credits right before he was attacked by the assassins. But we can say for sure that Boba and Fennec have some new adversaries in these Hutts, called the Twins. They claim ownership over Mos Espa in Jabba's name, and they've brought along help from a black-haired Wookiee, which was awesome. That's Black Krrsantan, a character first introduced in the Darth Vader comics, actually as a partner to Boba Fett. So they know each other, but Krrsantan has popped up in several comic series, including the main Star Wars run and Dr. Aphra. He is familiar with Tatooine and the Hutts, and this is my kind of fan service for sure. You don't have to have read the comics to know everything you need to know about this character. He's a tall, scary-looking Wookiee, a clear threat to Boba. He is serving an obvious function in this story, and it just so happens we have a comic character that fits the bill. Unobtrusive to people who've never seen Black Krrsantan before, but so exciting and rewarding to those of us who have. I cannot wait to see him duke it out with Fett. And I'm glad to have the Hutts in this story as well. I do wish they were giant puppets, but with the litter and everything I can see how impractical that would be. I think people will probably ask the question, why didn't they try to take Tatooine back earlier? It has been 5 years since Jabba's death. Maybe it'll be addressed in the show, but the War of the Bounty Hunters comic provides a satisfying enough answer for me. Most of the Hutt Council was slaughtered by Darth Vader. Jabba was the only surviving member, and then he died. So the Hutts have been without strong leadership since Return of the Jedi. They probably needed some time to regroup, and now they're ready to take back what they see as theirs. I think it's obvious Boba has got a major enemy for future episodes, a rival syndicate to defeat. So now let's jump back to the past, the Tusken Raider half of the story, where we see his resourcefulness in overcoming another rival syndicate. Since the last chapter, he has been largely accepted into the Tusken tribe. He's learning to fight, he's no longer in chains, he has proven his worth as a warrior. But a train full of members of the Pike Syndicate rolls through their territory, shooting Tuskens indiscriminately. Boba vows to keep his new friend safe and heads off into the desert. He reaches Tashi Station, which has been overrun by that Nikto Swoop gang we met last week. They're hassling the regulars like Fixer and Cammy. Again, this is fan service done right. It's serving the story first and foremost. To most people watching, people like my parents, Tashi Station is just a building and the people inside are just random settlers. But to the people who have seen the deleted scenes from A New Hope, we know this place, and we know these people, and it all put a big, dumb smile on my face. Boba takes down the Swoop gang and steals their bikes, and then trains the Tuskens to ride them so they can all work together to take down the train. That sequence was so much fun. I've said before, I'm a sucker for train heists and train levels in video games, and this was no different. It's fun to note that this isn't Fett's first time doing something like this either. During the Clone Wars, he was on the opposite side, protecting a train from assault. Watching the Tuskens attack and take over the vehicle was great, especially the warrior jumping inside and throwing people out. I thought that was a perfect blend of Star Wars action and comedy. It's played a little goofy and funny, but it's all done so earnestly. I was laughing at some of the things the Tusken warrior did, but none of the comedy broke the illusion that she was a badass. When the train is stopped, Boba basically holds court like we've seen him do in the present day. He submits judgment on the Pikes, and I loved seeing them in live action again. They aren't as tall and lanky as they are in the Clone Wars, but I can chalk that up to a difference in interpretation. It's fine. I would much rather they appear a little differently than not appear at all. I said before the series premiered that I want known crime syndicates to pop up in this story, and that's exactly what we're getting. And it's all making sense for the story. It's not shoehorned in. They're even dealing spice from Kessel exactly like they should be. Just like the first episode, we're seeing a lot of parallel storytelling. We're learning how Boba Fett's time with the Tusken Raiders has prepared him for the life he is choosing for himself in the present. The Hutts, maybe the most well-known and powerful criminal syndicate in the Star Wars galaxy, are invading his territory and claiming it as their own. Boba is going to have to find a way to stop them with limited people and resources, but he's done something like this before. The Pike Syndicate invaded Tusken Raider territory, and he found a way to stop them. Boba will have to stop the Hutts if he wants to continue reinventing himself as a crime lord, and I think we saw some of the motivation for his reinvention in the flashbacks. As a reward for all he's done for them, the Tusken chief gets him high and sends him on a vision quest. Boba stumbles his way to a tree in the night, and while he does so, we can see flashes of his current and past self in the armor. The tree is in the middle of an ocean, like his childhood home on Kamino. The tree begins to wrap itself around him, as well as his past self, signaling back to his near-death experience in the Sarlacc. We see young Boba watching his father leaving him, and then Boba breaks the tree branches, freeing himself. Okay, here's my best guess on what the vision means for now. I think the tree represents his family tree. Boba has never had an identity of his own. He is literally the clone of another man, Jango Fett. Jango raised Boba to carry on the family business and legacy. From birth, Boba Fett was destined to become a bounty hunter like his father. He never got any say in that. He became the best, most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy, and where did it get him? Knocked unconscious by a blind man with a stick. His father was the best too, and he still died, which was obviously a formative moment in Boba's life. So I think Boba is currently feeling trapped and suffocated by the identity that was chosen for him. The armor, the job. I've been asking why it took him 5 years to get his armor back since he returned in The Mandalorian. I think the answer is that he was not in any rush. He needs to find out who he is without the armor. Who is Boba Fett outside of being a clone of Jango Fett? Once he figures that out, then he can reclaim his armor and forge a new identity for himself and a new role in the galaxy. That's the hope anyway. He's got plenty of work ahead of him with the huts and everything, but we'll revisit that next week because the rest of this episode is a celebration of Boba's spiritual victory. He becomes fully accepted into the Tusken tribe, they dress him, they honor him, he's allowed to make his own gaffy stick, and together they all dance around the fire. This was a great episode. I wasn't blown away by the premiere, but I guessed that I would enjoy the second episode more and that it would help me better appreciate the first. That is definitely true. Telling stories about legacy characters can be difficult. We all have ideas for what we want to see in a Boba Fett series, and that's fine, but we can't get attached to those ideas and then grow angry when the story isn't what we hoped. I definitely had to make some mental adjustments during and after the first chapter, but now I am on board. Let me know what you thought of the Tribes of Tatooine down in the comments, and what you hope to see in future episodes. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with all our Book of Boba Fett coverage, and consider checking out our Patreon page for even more. We've got our video reaction to this episode out already, and an audio commentary will be coming soon as well. We'll be doing that for every episode as they release. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.